Welcome back. Impending major changes to the country's financial regulatory framework as the government tabled and began debate on the compendium of bills to keep the country in compliance with international financial laws. In the House of Assembly on Wednesday, Prime Minister Philip Davis introduced legislation to modernize securities exchanges, regulations, laws, and regulate issuance and sales of digital assets. Prime Minister Davis says the new bill will enhance the country's financial transparency, promote stable economic growth in the country as well.
I rise to roll out yet another major legislative update as part of our status quo changing agenda. The Securities Industries Bill 2024 and the Digital Assets and Registered Exchanges Bill 2024 represent critical steps forward, as well as the strengthening of our regulatory framework for financial services and investments.
Prime Minister Davis says if passed, the Securities Industry Bill 2024 will enhance the powers of the Securities Commission, the governing body that oversees the capital market and financial crimes here in country.
We will maintain the Securities Commission of the Bahamas' position as a world-class regulator, inspiring investor confidence in our financial services sector and our capital markets. As a result of our efforts, Madam Speaker, the Bahamian public will reap the economic benefits of increased investor confidence.
The bills are expected to be passed before June 30th this year. The opposition remains vocal in their support for the government-tabled Securities Industries Bill 2024 and the Digital Assets Registered Exchanges, or the DARE Bill 2024. In the House of Assembly late Wednesday, Leader of the official opposition, Michael Pintard, expressed his support for the amendments that he says make the country a viable jurisdiction in the global regulatory environment. However, Mr. Pintard raised a few concerns about the government's transparency and the limited consultation on the new amendments.
While the opposition supports the draft legislation and all related policy measures and initiatives that will strengthen the prospects for the financial services industry, we must point out a concern with this and all legislation that require this Davis administration to ensure equitable and fair enforcement of the law and the adherence to principles of public accountability. It is patently untrue, the assertions made by the member for Exuma during his contribution, that we do not seek to work in tandem with this government on matters where we are, in fact, challenged by foreigners.
Mr. Pintard also called into question how the government intends to enforce the regulations under the amendments to the DARE Act, considering their failure to enforce the laws with the now defunct cryptocurrency exchange, FTX.
We still have to face the reality that one of the world's most recognized, largest, and most influential digital exchanges met its demise in the Bahamas. Clearly based on what has come to light publicly, that entity engaged in specific activities that would put the now defunct company and its principals in breach of the DARE Act as it existed at the time. Yet, to our knowledge, no one is being pursued criminally for any breach of the DARE Act. We have yet to understand what investigations or audit reviews have been undertaken.
Mr. Pintard says the reputation of the country hinges on our laws being enforced consistently, and the new finance regulations will only work when bad actors are identified and corruption is addressed. The Davis administration continues construction plans for the Bahamas Department of Correctional Services, BDOCS. The estimated $60 million new prison facility is on the way. Tuesday at the Correctional Training Institute, Corrections Commissioner Don Clare provided an update on the timeline for the new prison and its ancillary courts. Commissioner Clare is outlining the progress on the approval and construction process for the proposed high to medium security facility.
The first phase has already been approved, which is the virtual court. The cabinet has approved the 14-room court, which we shall see construction hope to commence on that in short order. And also, too, I was advised that the new prison is coming before cabinet this morning. So once the cabinet is finished with their deliberations, the minister should advise me today as to the conclusions.
Commissioner Clare says despite the $33 million cutback from the initial $93 million budget for the facility, he is hopeful that Cabinet will approve of the multifaceted correctional institution and compound.
It appears as if we will be getting a favorable response sometime today on the new prison. And I must say too that during the budget debate, you all heard the minister and the prime minister mention that there will be a new correctional facility starting this year. So we're looking forward to it. We need it, and it's very critical to have.
The facility is set to house 820 inmates and will include a psychiatric wing and hospital, as well as a juvenile facility. And finally, in the past, officials of the Bahamas Department of Correctional Services have sought promotions for their officers, but they were long in waiting, which resulted in a shortage of officers at the prison. Well, on Tuesday, Commissioner Dawn Clare shared the news about several promotions that have taken place since March of 2024, and another set to take place later this year.
Sometimes promotions do take long because we have to wait on the public service and the Public Service Commission. But it's no fault of their own. I always tell persons promotions starts from within. If you don't send it down, you can't get it back. So 20 years ago, under Mr. Philip Turner, we used to get promotions twice per year. And that same approach, we are now doing that approach again in March and in October. Thus far, we have gotten close to almost 457 promotions, the largest in the history of the Bahamas Department of Corrections.
If you love your job, your morale will be high, says Commissioner Clare, as he explained that promotions should not be the only thing prompting prison officers to do their job effectively.
Under my leadership, you're looking at least 40 in March going forward and 40 in October. So it's now more frequent, and so we had to do that large one just to make things stable in the institution. We had no sergeants. We had 9 sergeants, and today we now have 85 sergeants. It has increased morale, but morale should not only be relied upon on promotions. You have to motivate yourself. If you love your job, your morale will be high.
Despite the large number of officers promoted in the most recent exercise, some deserving staff members were left out and are expected to be promoted during the next promotional exercise, said Commissioner Clare. And that'll do it for your JCN Evening News. Once again, I'm Jareno Saunders. It's a pleasure to have you join us.
This segment of the news has been brought to you by Sun Oil Limited.